Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pep Talks. It is Wednesday, April 10th, right, Steve?
Yep.
Steve Lally, my co-host. I'm Eddie Pepitone, and wow, what a program we have scheduled for you guys. Well, let's jump right into it, Steve. What's been going on?
I'm exhausted, buddy.
What a program! What a program we have lined up for you. Me and Steve are both going to talk about how we don't feel well. No, I feel good. This is, you know when you have a buddy and they don't feel good, but you feel really good, and you feel really good because they don't feel like you like also kind of
You feel better because I feel so shitty.
Yes.
Good. I'm good.
No,
that
that's not true, but it's you know what I'm saying, when you're hanging out with somebody and they're like, "Oh, I don't feel good," and you feel fine.
Yeah.
Then you're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, man." But secretly in your head, you're like, "Boy, I'm glad I'm taking care of myself."
The greatest thing was that Eddie and I and our buddy Mark, we went and pitched a television show, and right at the end of the meeting, Eddie said, "By the way," he said to the executive, "By the way, I don't feel well. Can you advance us? Can you advance us some money? Because I don't feel well." And he warned us. Eddie warned us.
By the
he
way,
was going to do that in the meeting.
But by the way, I want to tell all you young kids who are thinking about breaking into Hollywood, or older folks, I myself am 27. Don't let the white beard fool you. I just have that aging disease. I'm
Benjamin
20.
Button? You're like Benjamin Button?
I'm like Ben Button. I call him Ben Button. But, yeah, I'm only 27, and I get shit for hanging out with younger people, but they are my peers. I just have that aging disease where I have aged very quickly.
And backwards, like Merlin.
This business has fucking aged me. I'm 27, and look at me.
That's what happens when you don't get the breaks. It was Eddie and Bradley Cooper, and they went in back to back for the big movie part.
Well, and I don't look 27. I look goddamn near 60. And when my agent shows them my birth certificate, I have to show my birth certificate at auditions. It's sort of like when Trump was doing that birther thing with Obama. I have to show my birth certificate at auditions. No, I'm 27, and they're like, "Holy shit! Hey, Al, this guy's got Ben Button disease, but he's 27, so we have to see him." No, I don't give a shit. I need someone who can act. These young people can't act, and the ones that do, they're already taken.
That would be a good Academy Awards. You accept your award for playing a guy for being a guy who was younger, playing a guy who was older?
Being a guy who was younger. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you see the way Pepitone...
I've had Ben Button disease.
The way Pepitone got into that character. There's nobody like him. Nobody can do what he does,
Oh, man. But, just for all the kids out there or older people, I myself am 27. We already did that part, but I'm seeing if you're...
By the way, do you want to address the beard? Do you want to tell them about the beard?
What about the beard?
Well, what you've chosen to go with this look, this new...
Yeah, I mean, it speaks for itself, I've been getting a lot of compliments on the beard, so I'm keeping it for a while, But we'll see. I'm sick of being clean-shaven, I'm sick of being clean-shaven and thinking that I need to be clean-shaven. Maybe I'm going to do this,
But you'll keep it as a scruff. You're not going to grow it all the way out. You're not going to get.
Oh no, I'm gonna trim it.
Yeah.
My goal is to look like someone who's searching for food after the shit hits the fan. But anyway, if you're young or old and you're in Hollywood, whenever you're pitching a show, like you have a show idea and you get some meetings with studio people, always say to them, "I don't feel well. I don't feel well. May I have some money?" Because what it does is it shows your vulnerability. It shows that you're willing to ask for money, and they like They love that when you come in just hanging on a thread. No, you know.
Actually, it's when you appear to be really insane that they go, oh, he's an artist. He's creative.
Yeah. They're such pussies, by the way. All the studio people, they're just such, they're such cowards. That's the word, cowards. They're such cowards. You know, none of them want to buy anything that's unique. You know, none of them want to buy anything that's unique because they're all scared of making that leap. You know, so that's why you see programming year after 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 year of the same old shit. Like, how many programs have you seen about doctors and lawyers and fucking cops? You know, let's get architects on. I want to see architects.
The Fountainhead. I want to get the Fountainhead movie.
That Ayn Rand jerk. What a country we live in. What a disaster it is. I was just thinking of Ayn Rand's connection to one of the biggest. I mean, there are so many pieces of shit who we've had in office, but Alan Greenspan was one of the biggest pieces of shit because he deregulated everything. He let Wall Street run rampant with no regulation because he was close friends with Ayn Rand, and her whole philosophy was this, everybody's an individual and we all have to, like no social conscience, even though at the end of Ayn Rand's life...
She collected Social Security.
Thank you.
And welfare.
Thank you. At least my podcast partner, Steve Lally, knows that. You don't know it out there. You're too busy. I don't know what the fuck you're doing.
She also wrote love letters to psycho killers and stuff in prison.
No, she had an affair, I remember, with a young man I read.
Well, that's all right. What's wrong with that?
No, it's fine. I mean, look, it's hard to resist somebody in rainbow suspenders and he's shirtless and he's chopping wood outside your window.
Wait a minute, you're telling me she fucked Robin Williams?
No, maybe rainbow suspenders is not the word I was looking for. Just suspenders, like black suspenders. Just picture this: a guy, muscular, he's chopping wood outside your window. I'm talking to the ladies out there, or the men out there, and or the trans people, and he's chopping wood shirtless outside your window. Okay? He's chopping wood shirtless outside your window. How are you going to resist that? And that's what happened to Ayn Rand. There was a goddamn lumberjack out. How do you resist that?
A young lumberjack.
A young lumberjack.
A younger Jack.
Hey, are you young or do you have Ben Button's disease? Oh, my God. All right. So let me just address a couple of things. I was flossing last night, and I have a root canal tooth. I had a root canal done, and I just want to warn people about root canals because these fucking dentists and these root canal specialists. You ever meet a root canal specialist? You ever meet a root canal specialist? Like, they have fancy cars and they dress really snazzy. What do you do, sir? Oh, I'm a root canal expert. I'm a root canal specialist. I remember this dentist I went to, he referred me to this guy, and the way he talked about him was in hushed tones. Oh, Dr. X is amazing. He is just, he's gifted. He's a magician when it comes to root canals. And then the first thing I say is, wait a minute, anybody's last name who's X, I do not trust.
Was that really his name, Dr. X?
You see
he could have been a Muslim. I'm just saying, he could have been an activist.
Even Malcolm X, when he signed off on something, his last name was not X. It was Moskowitz. I love Malcolm X, by the way, and I agree with a lot of what he says, and you should listen and read Malcolm X. I listen to Malcolm X speeches right before I get a root canal. He is good, though.
By the way,
little different than Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King, nonviolence, Malcolm X, any means necessary, right?
Yeah, I think your tooth, I think there was something
So it popped
else
out.
going
My
on.
tooth popped out while I was...
It coincided with the re-election of Benjamin Netanyahu. I don't think that's any coincidence
Oh, God.
that your tooth came loose during the actual period when those votes were being counted.
When are the people going to take over? There's a lot of demonstrations. There's a lot of unrest throughout the world. In Africa, particularly, there's in France, they've been running amok. The yellow vests have been protesting for months.
Mm-hmm.
When is the left wing? I mean, I don't know, because I don't want it to be violent. But, hey,
As you knock over your own microphone.
So I just want to warn people about root canal specialists that. Years later, these fucking teeth that they say, oh, we could save the tooth. I'm a magician. I drive a beautiful car, But
How long
this tooth
did you have that cap, by the way?
I don't know. It was a few years ago.
That's it?
No, it may have been a while ago, maybe 10, 15 years. So they saved the tooth for a while. But I say just get it replaced immediately.
I think you should save whatever you can in a jar. Just that you've gone through this much
Now,
struggle.
Now the reason I brought that up, I don't want to gross anybody out, but I want you to know I'm human. Okay? That's why I talk about my tooth popping out during a flossing. And by the way, I haven't been to the dentist since then. It doesn't hurt. Anybody else like that with medical shit? Like they know it's dire. They know it should be
But if
looked
you're not
at.
in pain.
And we had to do the podcast. I had to go to the gym. And that's not
He didn't
to brag.
cancel the podcast,
Huh?
ladies and gentlemen. He did not cancel the
I did not-
podcast.
and Steve doesn't feel well.
I didn't either.
You weren't gonna. You were feeling like shit.
I
you
woke
sound
up.
like you have a cold.
I do?
Why are you acting surprised? You don't feel good.
I feel okay now. When I woke up,
right.
I felt like a truck ran me over. I mean, I felt like sore throat,
Oh,
and
really?
I did, I do all kinds of stuff because I'm human. Pep
You're
talk.
human too. We're
I
both
am.
human
We
beings,
are.
and that's why I told you that story, folks out there in YouTube land and SoundCloud land. I told you this story because I want you to feel okay about your flaws. I mean, I know that probably a lot of people who have tuned in on YouTube right now are looking at me and going, "The guy's perfect. The guy's perfect," but it's not true. I'm fucking just a human being, like just crawling on my hands and knees before God and nature, and just the violent oligarchs who fucking run this country, and just our whole country, United States, is just bathed in fucking blood. We killed
Right.
the people who were
the
here.
Chomsky article. The Chomsky.
What? I didn't
interview
read that. What was that
You
again?
didn't.
I didn't because I
He
didn't
said
have time.
I'm not.
Noam
little-
Chomsky, and
yeah.
you should read Noam Chomsky. You should listen to Noam Chomsky instead of, constantly reading Danielle Steele or Harold Robbins, or just something racy, Go ahead. So what did Chomsky say?
He mentioned the genocide of the native people who were here and the enslavement. The way he put it is so beautiful, though. He explained it in a way that basically all of the industrial profits that the wealthy in this country gained was on the backs of a genocide and a mass slavery, hundreds of years of slavery. And, and so he's, I can't get the words.
I was just telling my wife, not to brag, I have that kind of lifestyle. I was telling my wife that we are peasants. That's what we are now. We're in this country. We're peasants, and you know, where instead of, you know, working on someone's farm, you know, we work for these, you know, for a few corporations. And in this business in Hollywood, you know, the media now, these media companies, you know, they're just devouring, you know, it's less and less companies that own everything. Like there's fucking, I don't know, 3-4 companies.
Monopolies.
Yeah, I mean.
But
yeah.
the reason I like Chomsky, and the reason I enjoy reading Chomsky over Hedges is because Chomsky illustrates that, you know, Hedges is like, man, it's over. But Chomsky's
no,
like...
he's not. Hedges doesn't say it's over. He says we have to fucking organize. Hedges is a kick in the teeth.
But I like Chomsky because he says that civilizations in worse circumstances than we're in now have come out of it, what we're in. And they've been in worse circumstances and been able to overcome it. So
what does Chomsky say
me,
about climate change, though? Chomsky is also scared about he always talks about the atomic clock. Do you guys have an atomic clock?
The doomsday,
of course you
the
don't.
Doomsday
the
clock.
doomsday
You
clock.
have one at home.
I have a doomsday clock at home. Do you? A doomsday clock is the scientists. I forget what the organization is, but they let us know how close we are to nuclear disaster. Midnight means nuclear disaster, and we're 2 minutes to midnight, you know? But keep watching Ozark! Or whatever the fuck you're watching.
Hey, Game of Thrones is coming back.
Oh, I know.
You're looking forward to that.
No, I don't. I never watched Game of Thrones.
Really?
Did you?
I'd love it. I love it. Seriously. Hey, you watch Modern Family. I watch Game of Thrones. We all have our...
Hey.
We all have our thing.
Hey, I watch Modern Family because it's very well written, and I'm a comedian, and I look at that writing, and I go, that's very well written. Plus, I really care about what's going to happen to Haley and Luke and Phil and Gloria. But you know what's great on that show is Ed
O'Neill?
Ed O'Neill is awesome.
Okay.
What were you going to say? Something passed through your head.
It makes me feel better that I watch Game of Thrones hearing that you watch Modern Family.
No, I know. Look. The only reason, and I'm kidding when I say, oh, keep watching Ozark. I'm not kidding, but I'm.
You're half kidding.
I'm half kidding because I watch the same shit, you know, and we all want to escape. And but the what's going on though, and I'm really part of this too, is we are, as I've recommended this book many times, you know, Neil Postman's Amusing Ourselves to Death. We're fucking amusing ourselves to death.
What if,
we go into and these things are very well made. I mean, right? The production values on Game of Thrones is enough to make you forget that we don't have health care in this
they don't
country.
have it in Game of Thrones. They're all living like, you know.
They're all making a lot of money on Game of Thrones.
They are.
Those are fictional characters you're talking. So why do you like it so much? I don't like shit about kings and.
Well, it's.
I don't like shit.
But wait a minute now, because you haven't seen it, and I have. So
I saw the pilot.
Oh, well, that's not. This. You can't really comment.
I was like, it's gratuitous sex and
Oh,
violence.
there's no.
Right? It's
gratuitous.
It's
great. It's great.
Why is that
it's
great?
Great,
gratuitous sex
you didn't
and
give
violence
it a chance. It's
reminds me of my teenage years.
Okay, well, you watch boring symbols of diversity selling credit cards and Modern Family.
Oh, well, I know.
Look, it's a great show, man. It's a great show. It starts off kings and queens and gowns and shit. But as it goes on, it's more mystical and this sort of like fight against brutality. It's really pretty incredible.
I disagree. Like, I haven't even watched the shit, but when you say fight against brutality, to me, that's just an excuse for the fucking... And we're pitching a show that's kind of intellectual, and it's kind of absurdist, and it's kind of out there, but all the shit that sells, when I look at the shit that's on television, it's violent as hell, you know? Even these... It's just so... It's so violent.
Yeah. Well, what about Breaking Bad?
And sexual, huh?
Breaking Bad had its
Oh, I
share
love Breaking Bad.
So, I don't know. Listen. I project a future in my mind that is everybody's going to have a show they're going to watch that's exactly like about a person like them struggling through exactly what they're struggling
You know
through.
what it is, though? We don't have any community anymore, you know? There's no community anymore in society. So the way people get community now is to talk about sports, is to talk about shows. They don't fucking talk about their lives with other people. You have these people, talking passionately about the Game of Thrones. And the reason they're doing that is because their lives are shit.
It's an escape, man.
It's an escape. We know that,
Yeah.
And this podcast is not an escape. Let me tell you something. If you're using this podcast as a mistake, if you're using, no, I meant to say, if you're using this podcast,
God.
if you're using this podcast as an escape, you're making a grave error. All right, let's go to our first ad. We have ads, and we have great advertisers on this show. And these ads are written by Matt Rasamoto, our producer, but we have not gotten paid for a single ad. But they're good people. This first one is a new sponsor, I believe. It's called AutoPan, and it's a terrific.
Very exciting.
You'll hear it. The AutoPan is an in-car unit that replaces the driver's seat with a flushable toilet system. How many times have you been caught up in the middle of a bladder-bursting traffic with no escape? Oh, no! We've all been there. What happens when that fast food is running a little too fast? Oopsie! There is only so much excreta you can fit into a can of Monster before you start smelling like one. The AutoPan looks like a regular luxury car seat, the kind you would see in any fancy automobile like rich people drive. The pleather headrest, and I love pleather. Do you love pleather?
I think that's a
First of all,
typo.
this is a great idea to have a toilet seat where the driver's seat used to be. I mean, because LA, we have brutal traffic, and I know wherever you live, godforsaken places you people live, you poor bastards. Did
you install a pleather? Did you install a pleather rim in your Element?
I don't want to talk about it. The pleather headrest, the walnut veneered arm brackets, and the stainless steel funnel leading to a 3-horsepower garbage disposal and 78 pressure square inch air pressured power flume that will launch your dirty business up to 12 car lengths away. That 12th car, though, that isn't pretty. You'll be dry. I mean, I fear, because it's prom season, if you're using it and it happens to go on someone's prom, it's going to ruin it. Anyway, you'll be driving with a look of confident relief all the way home, regardless of any digestive atrocities you may have committed along the way. So go ahead and treat yourself to some drive-through coffee and make it an extra venti with all the shots. Be brave. By the way, when they ask me, would you like an extra shot to your venti, I say yes. I want flu shot. I want any kind of shot. Measles. By the way, have you heard this thing about measles? There's an outbreak of you don't hear about this.
No, I don't know if
He's
I want
too busy watching Game of Thrones, folks.
They don't have any vaccinations in Game of Thrones. It's like free.
But yeah, there's a measles outbreak in Brooklyn. Before I finish this ad, and it's people who don't get vaccinated. What fucking idiots, And they're spreading the measles. All right, so be brave. With AutoPan, your exposed percolating anus is just inches away from sweet relief. AutoPan. What the fuck? You couldn't wait. You couldn't wait till the commercial was over. Did you hear him blow his nose? It was like a duck.
It was a perfect sound effect.
I thought there was a goose in our studio. AutoPan. Odds are you won't get home in time. So yeah, AutoPan. That's a good product. You need a toilet in the car, and with that pressurized system, it shoots at 12 car lengths.
12 car lengths.
That's a terrific thing. Now let's read. We have a lot of phone calls today. We'll get to
emails. We have.
We'll get to hopefully as much. We have some emails. We have a lot to do. So let's get to our first phone call. Here we go, everybody. 29. Here we go. And here we go.
Hey guys, this is Annika from LA, and I love the podcast. I called a couple weeks ago because I was really bummed out about Brody. So now it's my second time calling. I was listening, and you guys were talking about like Trump and stuff like that, and it's I just wanted to see what your thoughts are about this. So my mom is a Latina por Trump. Latina for Trump, and it's really, really fucking rough. It's really rough. It's been rough for years. I go long periods of time not talking to her. I haven't been able to visit for years. It's just rough, man, like on everything. And, you know, people say that politics tears families apart and stuff, but it also tears apart people's identity. Like if you feel and you see all this like hatred towards certain groups of people, and then you know feel like, oh, I don't want to be associated with them, and you kind of like turn against, you know, your own people. And, you know, my mom is just like, oh, we don't want these Mexicans in our country. And it's like, you're a fucking Mexican. You know, she wasn't born here. She's an immigrant. Like, it's so weird. And, you know, I don't know. Like, maybe see what your thoughts are. Maybe you have some tips for me on how to deal with it. Also, side note, I just wanted to say that, Steve, I had to look up where you are from because he has no accent. He has like the blandest like white accent, and it's amazing. It's totally like indiscernible. So anyways, thanks so much for the podcast. Love you guys. Bye.
Annika, thank you very much. So there were a couple of things. One is about people, your mother, who represents people. What I think your mom is doing is trying to identify with the powerful, you know, and I think it's a mistake that people do, you know. It's like instead of, you know, siding, here we go, Steve is blowing his fucking nose again. Instead of siding, you know, with the powerless who need our help, I think some people are so scared by it. And it's a wild thing, like you said, that your mom is an immigrant, yet she's saying, we don't want these Mexicans here, and she's Mexican. And it's insane, right? And I think it's people who are scared. I think, you know, she sees what Trump is doing, you know, just and she wants to feel good about where she's at in life. What do you think, Steve?
Well, my dad is a Trump sympathizer. I wouldn't say he's a Trump for Trump, but he didn't vote for Trump. But he's a card-carrying Reagan Republican, and he sympathizes with Trump. You know, he's like, oh, the media is against him and the intelligence community against him. So, and I love my dad. So what you need is
sure Annika loves
probably some like actual advice on how to like deal with this.
Well, how do you deal with it? Because you're you're big left.
I go real gently with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
I try to, when I'm really angry, I try to restrain myself. Things in the news will upset me, and I try to restrain myself about talking about it to my dad. If he brings stuff up, I'll push back. And the other thing is I try to keep in mind that this is my dad, and I want it's got to be something more sacred than the way we see things politically in the world. So I don't know if that will help you. I just say tread gently with someone you love. I don't know how obnoxious your mom is. My dad's not that obnoxious about it. He's not that bad. Sometimes he will, and we will get into it. But I would
Where
say
does that
just,
go when you get into it with them?
Well, sometimes it depends how much my ego's involved. Thanks, Eddie.
Sometimes your
Makes me feel
ego's
better. It
involved?
depends how much my ego's involved.
I know.
If my ego's
That's
really
true.
involved, I get nowhere.
First of all, Annika and other people listening, our parents just push our buttons because they know what buttons to push, and you know we've grown up, you know, with them, and I mean, Jesus Christ, I have to be so, you know, very on top of my game when I'm hanging with my dad. Now, of course, my dad is a lifelong, you know, he was a union leader.
Yeah, he's a lifelong lefty.
Yeah, but he's gotten older, he's just gotten weaker intellectually. He just hasn't.
Lazy.
Well, yeah, he watches a lot of. He's 86, so give him a break, Steve. But he just watches television and sucks in that mainstream news bullshit, you know, CNN, and he was very excited about Russia. All you assholes who thought that that Mueller
They still
report.
think it. They're
I
still
know
out
they
there.
do.
They're still out
They're
there.
still bitching about Hillary Clinton. They can't let go. They're just idiots. Yeah. So, and Annika was talking about it rips apart families if you let it. Yeah, and rips apart. She even went further and said identities. And yeah, like identifying as a particular immigrant group, you know, I think that's what she was talking about. But what I do, Annika, like with my dad, is I just kind of try to. I mean, you know, like your dad, if he comes at me with stuff, I will try to make points. But then my ego does get involved, and I get angry, and then it doesn't lead anywhere good because he just gets angry. And then I get depressed after I get angry with my father. So you don't want to fight with your parents because, or if you do, you know,
Well,
if
you
want to fight.
Choose your
fight.
battles.
Choose
man.
your battles. But after I finish fighting with my dad, I always feel depressed because I just realize that I got suckered in again into my fucking ego, and like, God damn it, I could have just talked about sports with him or classical music or the curtains.
Yeah.
Talk about the curtains.
When I don't have an ego involved in that conversation with my dad, what happens is sometimes I actually get through to him. A couple times. I'm not saying all the time, but there have been a few times where I've said, "Hey, Dad, like, if like let's say one company gives you all your energy or all of your food." Isn't that the same thing if one company buys another and then another company buys that company and you're left with one company monopolizing everything? Isn't that kind of the same thing as communism? And
By the
my
way,
dad would go, I'm sorry, you go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that, you know, he's a Reagan Republican.
Well, he wasn't always. You know, he
What
became,
happened?
because it was his last vestige of protest in the marriage between him and my mom.
All right, look, we don't need to get into that. All right, let's listen to another call. Here we go.
Hey, Eddie and Steve, this is Will calling from Milwaukee. Spent most of my life in Chicago, but I live in Milwaukee now. Been listening to the show for a long time. And, you know, I know that, Eddie, you're on kind of on the Buddhist tip, and you're trying to sort of detach your ego from things. And Steve, I know you're on the spiritual tip as well. So I don't want to inflate your egos.
Please
so that's
do.
my preface, but basically saying that I'm calling in a show of solidarity and that I'm a vegan. You know, I also find myself on the far left end of the spectrum. Chris Hedges, Noam Chomsky, Howard Zinn,
Like Howard Zinn.
Malcolm X, Cornel West, those are all my influences, and kind of my academic foundation in terms of my framework of how I view the world. I just wanted to say that I appreciate what you guys are doing. I find it increasingly difficult, as you mentioned in one of your previous shows, to remain engaged when we're obviously living in a fucking nightmare. You know, I don't see any real hope, but, you know, I stay unmedicated. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I try to take care of myself. I run. I do these things. But to quote Eddie from a long time ago, from one of his episodes when I think, did you have Dave on? I'm trying to remember. But basically, you started the show with saying that every morning you wake up flailing for God. That resonated with me. I think about that line a lot, and I know you guys are laughing your asses off, but at the same time, it was Dave Anthony, I think, was on the show for that one. But basically, that intensity resonated with me, and that I don't see any other thing, for me, as often depressed and kind of just numb and just feeling like I'm just in a gray haze. I don't see any other option but a spiritual option. So, and thank you to both of you coming from different perspectives, kind of encouraging that. And obviously I'm not speaking in terms of a religious spirituality or religious framework. I'm speaking more of just a larger, more all-encompassing way to approach everything in terms of everything being interconnected and there just being a larger essence. So thank you for that. Also, a quick thing about the stat, Eddie. You were saying that there's 1.5 million automatic guns in the United States. From the article, it's 1.5 million in New Zealand. So in the United States, it's 393 million guns, which I think is like one for every man, woman, and child, and 68 million surplus. But they weren't talking about automatics. They were just talking about guns, period, which is still fucking horrific. Because then you could take a semi-automatic and...
We'll finish up this 16 more seconds.
Hey guys, I got cut off. I obviously said too much on that last one, but just wanted to say, to close out, really appreciate what you do. Keep on maintaining, and I'll continue to listen and support the show. Okay, peace be with you. Take care.
This guy, Will, thank you so much. And man, I'd like to hang out with that guy. He sounds like one of us.
Yeah, man.
You know?
It's nice to know we're not alone.
That's right. Yeah, he's a cool dude, and he was talking about how do you. I love the fact that he's taking care of himself. You know, it takes a lot to take care of yourself in this maelstrom of shit. You know, because what happens is we get inundated with stress. It's stress. You know, it's stress about money,
Worry.
Stress and worry, saying, you know, that's what I mean. Like, yeah, worry about stress, worrying about, am I gonna, you know, I don't know, find happiness? Am I, you know, is there gonna be, if you're an aware person, you know what's fucked up? If you're an aware person, if you're someone who doesn't, you know, get high all the time and, you know, party a lot and watch Game of Thrones, you're very conscious of, you know, what's going on. You know what? We got to connect to nature, you know, and spirituality. And Will was talking about this, like a larger essence of spirituality. Like, I always think of nature like when nature and breathing, like I was watching, and this is not to brag, I was watching little birds fly around today, and I kept going, look at the birdie, to my wife.
How did she like that? Did she wake
By
up?
the way, what I'm doing there is an impersonation of an angry nature person. Look at that bird, Margaret. What a beauty, huh? But I connect to nature, and he was just talking about, and whatever it is, whatever God, and I know so many people are turned off by that word, you know, but whatever God is to you, you know, you gotta fucking connect to something larger than yourself, right?
Yeah, man.
I mean,
You're asking me,
you really get it. I think you were one of these people who you kind of hit a spiritual bottom, and you you had you almost had an epiphany type of experience.
Yeah, but I didn't. I didn't know I was hitting a bottom. I thought everything was fine. I thought everything was going great. And what happened to me was...
Well, that's how it goes, right?
Yeah.
Like you think that's when you really hit a bottom. No, when you think things are going great and the bottom falls out, and then you go, your whole fucking life is turned upside down, and you go, oh, shit.
Yeah, well...
I don't know a fucking thing. That is one of the hardest things in life, when you are so humbled by it,
Well, imagine your need to eat and fuck and make money and all those things are suddenly stripped away from you, and all you can feel is other people's sorrow and other people's anxiety, and you can feel the other people around you, and you're absorbing their energy.
Yeah.
Sometimes I couldn't even walk into a comedy club because I could feel all, how it is in a comedy room with comics. They're all tense, and I could feel them. And I was like, why the fuck am I so unhappy here? Oh, I'm feeling these other people. So, but that's the truth.
How'd you get out of it?
I went and prayed and
Yeah.
fasted. I fasted. Yeah, I'd fast 2 days here and 2 days there.
Oh, did that help?
It helped.
Well, how so? How did the fasting help? Because whenever I fast...
Do you fast?
No. But when I don't eat for a while, I get irritable.
Dude, I had no sense of humor. I mean, I was so afraid.
Irritable and
of
weak
shit.
and... Yeah. Oh, you were
Yeah,
afraid.
I was afraid.
So you weren't
I couldn't
necessarily...
sleep, dude. I couldn't
You weren't
sleep.
necessarily fasting. You weren't eating out of nerves.
No, I will. First of all, I didn't have an appetite. When I got the appetite back, then I started fasting. Because it
long
would
did it
make me
take
feel, I would
you-
meditate, it would make me feel more connected. When I would pray and meditate, it would make me feel better,
But our lives are one big prayer. It isn't just, oh, I'm going to pray now, or I am going to meditate now. Our lives, every second is one big prayer. And I remember reading Rumi, a Sufi poet, and I think Rumi, have you ever...
I don't know him.
He has got a great book called Rumi with a View. No, I'm kidding. But he is a great poet, Rumi. Look him up, Persian poet, I think. Sufi. You know the Sufis? They're whirling dervishes. Do you know what a whirling dervish is?
No,
I know you don't out there.
No.
Oh,
You
Eddie,
got
how
me.
come you're bringing up whirling dervishes? Hold on. Steve is blowing his nose. We don't have a mute button.
Do they say anything about allergies? Do they have any advice?
No, but anyway, Rumi said that that the way we should prostrate ourselves at God's feet.
Prostate?
What?
Prostrate?
No, Rumi was a urologist. No. He said it's prostrate, right? Not prostate. I'm thinking of prostate because I have to go to my urologist soon, and the dentist. And I have to have a stress test.
You have maladies.
There's actually something called this. Well, when you get older, it's a fucking nightmare of
It's
a battery of
carnival
medical.
of shit falling
It's
out
a
of your
battery of medical issues every day. Every day it's like, baby, my left arm doesn't work today. Or the next day, sweetheart, the knee went. Honey, I think my kidneys are fucked. But Rumi says we should prostrate ourselves like little children in front of God. I mean, what he's talking about is that I think what he means by that is that you can't have ego when you go to a higher power. Like you have to really be humble, but the true definition of that word, which is no ego,
Yeah, and who can do that? I mean, how many?
I can. And I say that as one of the top meditators in this country. And I love to get into other meditators.
Top meditator. That's just...
I love to get into other I do competitive meditation. And I get into other meditators' faces, and I'm like, your mind is full of ripples and shit and trash. My mind is as still as a frozen lake.
You psych out the meditators.
Let's go to another call.
Oh, okay.
Ready? Another call, folks. Here we go.
Hi, Eddie. This is Gracia calling from Toronto. There's been a lot of talk recently on your show about how to cope in a world gone mad. And my suggestion, I'm thinking of Steve in Toronto who calls in regularly and is a musician, is listen to the music of those musicians that came before you, who have a certain knack of either making fun of the world or coping with the world or making beautiful all the shit within the world. So I think of Roger Miller and songs like Do Wackadoo, that's a beauty, or Warren Zevon, who's like very acerbic and just seemed to make do. Who else? There's Sting, of course, or the great Gord Downie, his solo works that are just so beautiful. Surely he knew how awful the world can be, but just made beauty of it. That's how I cope. And also I watch children's shows on Netflix, like The World's Cutest 72 Animals, where they have a very arbitrary rating system of what is actually the cutest. They've got the koala and they've got the coral snake, and this week the coral snake has edged in front of the panda, and you don't know why, but it's just like mindless shit that keeps you sane. I like to think of the world as like you're being in the eye of the storm, like you've got to make your world smaller and smaller in a healthy sense, while all this shit is going on around you. And that's how I keep myself sane. Anyway, Eddie, I was hoping to come down to Detroit to see you this week, but it's just not going to happen. Lots going on here in Toronto, but love you, love your show. You keep me sane. And thanks for everything. Bye.
There's a second part to this that we're going to play in a second, but Gracia, thank you for that call. And that's a great way to deal with stuff, huh? Is that we have so many, besides prayer, right? That we have so many little tools we can use. I mean, I guess I talk about, the technology and the internet, being a bad thing, but, you could listen to music at any time, right? And music, I think Gracia's a musician, and there's different tools you can use. I was listening to Mozart's piano concertos, and they're beautiful, and it's funny because I listen to this voicemail. I get these voicemails, not to brag, on my phone and computer before we play them, and I'll listen to them. And I was I was in the airport when I heard this message, and I immediately, put on my music programs, Roger Miller, who does King of the Road. Ain't got no cigarettes. And Do Wackadoo, like Gracia said, and Warren Zevon is great.
Oh, yeah.
So there's ways, right, to
find happiness and bliss when possible. That's what my rabbi would say.
You have a rabbi?
Well, one of them.
Jesus, he's got multiple rabbis.
Yeah.
Here's the second part. So thank you for that, Gracia. Yeah, and I agree. Second part.
Hi, it's Gracia again. I forgot to leave this bit on. I have to say, and I think I'm speaking for a lot of women who listen to this show, but I really hate how Steve Lawley, mentions the word pussy. Just like haphazardly, pussy. I don't like it, and my threat is, and this is not a game, but I will call back and I will play on the melodica the theme for Friends, which Steve said before makes him feel like he's not a man. Well, I will call back and I will play that on the melodica, or maybe on top of Old Smoky on the melodica. Who wants to hear that? Everybody. So please just stop saying that. Thank you. Bye.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was hilarious, actually.
That was. Do we say pussy too? I know I said it today. Do you say it?
I must.
You must.
Yeah.
So let's not do that anymore.
Well,
it offends women.
I don't know, dude. Really?
Yeah.
We should not say that word?
Well, unless it's used very organically and not in a. Well, it's offensive, right? Or you don't think it is?
Well, I'm a straight white guy, so it doesn't offend me. But I mean,
Right.
no, I don't find it offensive. I don't think any word is offensive except the N word. To be honest with you, I don't find any of the English language. I think actual political correctness was only instituted to keep rednecks from running around screaming the N word. That's my so.
I think that we have to be smart, that especially performers and public people, and I'm not saying, we have to be policed.
We had this conversation. Remember, you mentioned a comic talking about raging about political correctness, and you're like, is it really political correctness, or are they just bullies? I don't know. I remember.
Right. Don't be a bully. Don't be a bully.
Okay.
That's what. Here's another call. We got a bunch of calls, so we're going to try to get through them.
Hi, Eddie. My name is Michael Sanato. I'm a frequent freelance journalist contributor to The Guardian, and I cover labor issues. My question for you is, can you talk a little bit about your experience working as a comedian, any instances you've had being exploited by employers, kind of the struggles of working as an independent contractor, and have you thought about, or do you foresee any sort of organizing for comedians and providing some worker rights to comedians who are just starting out, who are the most vulnerable to being exploited by comedy club owners and people like that, any kind of employers like that. So I'm really interested to hear your take on this issue. Thanks.
Hang up, Michael. Okay. Yeah, great call, Michael.
Man. Wow.
It really made me think what a
Do you have any stories about getting exploited in show business as a comedian? I mean, we could do 5 podcasts just on your experiences, probably.
Yeah, I mean, thanks, Michael, again for that call. And yeah, I remember when comedians, I believe it was in New York, organized to get. You remember that too?
Right. Yeah, and here too,
and in LA as well.
They struck at the Comedy Store. They struck in the 70s, and that's how they got paid. None of the comics ever got paid.
But this was even more recent than the 70s.
Really?
Yeah, because and now,
what did they get?
I'm not sure, but it's interesting. Can you organize comedians?
I don't think so, man. I don't know.
It's an unlevel playing field because the really big comics, they make a lot of money. They make a lot of money. And LA clubs, like the Comedy Store where I work now, you do really well if you're in the main room, and then the other 2 rooms, not well.
Right.
And the Improv,
no,
you do okay in the main room sometimes, and not well in the little lab. And it's like this unwritten thing that comics in LA particularly should be grateful that they're just performing, or that comics should just be grateful that they get any stage time, and there just seems to be, since it's such an unlevel playing field, that the big comics make so much money when they're on the road. It's always you have to leave.
Man, I don't even know where to begin about that. How would you even
begin anywhere?
Well, there's so many fucking comedians. There's so many comedians now. There's more comedians than there's
There's so
ever
many
been.
comedians because fucking people don't want to work real jobs anymore. And because they're horrible. The real jobs are horrible. They don't want to work in the plastic factory where they have to wear a hazmat suit and get paid.
Right, but the jobs have always been horrible, but there weren't always this many comedians.
Oh,
so it's getting more like, I don't know. What do you do? I mean, you can't say to some comic who's got 3 minutes of material at an open mic, hey, you should get paid. That's not. That's hysteria. That would be hysteria in the other direction.
Also,
right?
Michael said, that the most exploited are the younger comics, and I don't know. I mean, they're just getting their stage time.
Right.
But it's certainly like my problem would be like, how do you? I think you could organize the comics, and it has a lot to do with the fact that comics are. Here's like a general, thumbnail of the comic psyche: paranoid, really low self-esteem, mostly, like just like until they get confident, and selfish and narcissistic, and not me, not Steve, but most of the comics we don't.
But we were in the beginning, probably. No, were you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, you don't get into this business if you're healthy.
No, absolutely not.
But do you get into accounting if you're healthy? I don't know about that.
I would say, man, brutally speaking, just to speak honestly, man, the comic has to get successful and then help out as many people as they can. I mean, that's the only look where we are. I mean, this place where we're doing our podcast was comedians got successful. They made a clubhouse for their friends so they could be creative. I don't see any other way, and I also see the deterioration of this coming because the wrong comics. This is fucked up. I know this is fucked up what I'm saying, but this is how I feel. The wrong comics, like these trust fund yuppies, they just get money.
Yeah.
And they've always had money, and they get into show business, and they don't help out anybody because it's not important to them. And that's why comedy sucks.
In general, but it's not just comedy. I think in general, like the American experience is you want to be a winner. And the loser, people who don't have a lot of money, they are what you would call losers. And it's like, I got mine, and fuck you, and that's the kind of mentality. And I think it's even doubled with, a showbiz mentality, and particularly and specifically the comics mentality, But it would be cool, like, if I got bigger, I would love to like do some organizing. And another thing is that comics and quote unquote artists don't have good business sense. They don't have good business sense. They don't have, 95% of them, right, are not good business people. They don't know, how much the club is making. Like, I would love to know how much the big clubs are making a night and why that money isn't distributed more evenly by the people who are bringing the entertainment.
Well, Comedy Store pays well, but the Improv and the Laugh Factory, when my checks from the Laugh Factory have been, the funniest thing is you cannot make a living doing a club. And if you're a regular at the clubs in LA, you can't make a living doing that. You can't make a living unless someone's letting you
Unless you're doing the Comedy Store main room, you could do pretty well.
Right, but if you're doing it every night or a couple nights a week, but how many comics is that? You and 5 other guys.
So Michael, that's a discussion to be continued. I want to get to another couple of calls, but that call made me go, how come we're not doing more to organize comedy? And it made me think about just organizing in general. It's not easy. You have to butt heads. When you're organizing labor, that's a scary proposition to like, oh, hey, do you hear Pepitone is trying to organize?
By the way, you're asking people who stand alone, who work alone. You don't work with other people. You stand alone on a stage to organize. Let's all get together when we couldn't get together to begin with. It all work.
It's true, man. Yeah, it's true. All right, let's go to another call, and we'll keep talking about that too. Here's another call.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Chris. Eddie, you remember me. Chris. Yeah, you remember. Anyway, your show is pretty cool. Hey, I ate some pizza today and I feel sick. I just wanted to let you know that. I think I should stay away from the animal products. Thanks, Eddie. Appreciate it. Love you. Bye.
Yes, stay away from animal products because animals get tortured for your food, I don't miss cheese. I don't miss cheese anymore. Here's another call. And dairy farms are brutal. They rip away the baby calves from the mother. The mother cow screams because they've had their child ripped away. And the reason they rip it away is that they don't want the baby calves getting
Taking
the milk.
the milk. Oh my gosh.
So don't fucking be part of that industry. All right, here we go. Another call.
Yes, hello to Eddie and Lolly. I like show. I listen from Moscow. I wonder when you come to Moscow to play your comedy. Please to come. Thank you.
We love our Russian fans. Here's another one.
Hey, Ed, this is Ed as well. I don't appreciate you calling our King Trump orange imbecile. He's not an imbecile. He's one of the smartest men I know. He raised himself up from nothing. So smart, never lies, always does the right thing. And he's going to be king again 2020. You'll see.
You see, we get all kinds of people listening to our show.
Here's another call. This call is the same call.
Hey, Eddie, this is Josh. Just to let you know, it's not pronounced ayahuasca with an H. It's actually ayahuasca without the H sound. So just wanted to let you know that. Now you know how to pronounce it.
Thank you. Now I don't know who that's Josh or Mike. I don't know, but it's the same number. He did those last 3 calls, and I'm thinking that was great. By the way, Ed or Josh or whatever your name is, he did Russian. He did a Russian dude. Then he did a redneck, and then he did like a hippie dude, ayahuasca man. So I'm thinking maybe we should have Josh call in
all the time
and do
really
do different
are you
characters.
Sure?
Yeah, the numbers are here.
Oh
so
fuck!
I thought
we had a Trump supporter listening.
No, yes, he was that good. So I might message you, and you might call in as certain characters, which is what some podcasts do. They get somebody to call in as
a regular prankster.
Yeah, let's see what else we got here. Here's another one. We're almost down to the last call, which is great. We've been going through them.
Hey, Steve.
Hey.
It is Anthony from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Just wanted to say I was so flattered that you played my call and that you took my pep talk to heart. Now I see you hosting the podcast, you're dating Instagram models, you're in a comedy showcase with Brian Regan, who's fantastic. I saw him in Atlantic City at the Borgata twice. A very, very funny guy. As far as representing your social media campaign, I'm actually going to refer you to somebody else. I know you like to work with young women that you have no chance of hooking up with. So I'm going to refer you to my teenage daughter. She's going to Temple University for communications next year, and she'd be a good social media manager for you. So I just wanted to say, great job. Keep up the good work, and I look forward to hearing many more positive things about you and your life. Take care.
Anthony has taken a special interest in
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know if it's a good thing.
I don't know.
Thank you
either.
for the vote of confidence.
All right,
Anthony.
this one is
Appreciate
from Dawn. Here we go.
Hello, Eddie. You're great to see. I saw you on Hamtramck. Thank you for coming to Michigan. This is really your first time. I'm sorry for everything you had to see. You're beautiful. Your energy is great. Thank you so much. You made me feel safe. I was afraid to come out, and I'm glad that you did the bits that you did. Coming out in the audience, you sat in my chair.
Wow.
I gave it up for you. I was sat back, but I was afraid of being closer. You're a beautiful man. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Dawn. Dawn is so sweet. Thank you.
Did you meet her?
I just want to thank everybody for coming out to Michigan. No, but it was so great. You know, I did Kalamazoo, and then right outside Detroit, there's a place called Hamtramck, and they were just great crowds. And I want to thank everybody at the Independent and Hamtramck and Shakespeare's and Bob Fredericks and Alex Basavinik and Mike Bobbitt, who got me out there, and I really had a good time, man, and the fans were so fucking great. Now, we have a couple more ads, so Steve, you read the next one here.
Yes, sir.
Here you go. Yeah, to Easter.
Oh, this is really exciting. A new sponsor on our show that's not paying us. Easter is right around the corner, and it's time to show off your hot winter body. But wait, aren't you going to need a new prostate swimsuit? Yes, the answer is yes. Since 1923, Schmeckel Swimwear has been Torrance's first stop in outfits made to constrain the corpulence of kings and queens alike.
Corpulence.
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 Crapulence.
Yeah.
That's how it's actually.
Oh.
No, that's how he wrote.
You forgot the R.
Oh, I put okay.
You said
The crapulence of kings and queens. And their fat, blubbery bodies. Schmeckel. Schmeckel's gone. Schmeckel, where'd you go? Schmeckel has swimsuits so tight, you'll swear you look 10 years thinner while the ambulance takes you away. Those in the know say there's little difference between jealousy and grave concern, so let your limbs turn blue. Constriction is the name of the game, and winners play to win. At Schmeckel, they will guarantee a swimsuit so form-fitting nothing less than a half dozen firemen and the jaws of life will be able to take it off you, ladies. And for the men, enjoy the baggiest of baggy swim shorts that will shrink with near-transparent accuracy around all your dangling dingles. No one goes tighter than Schmeckel. No one. Fight me. I swear to God, anyone who thinks they can find a tighter swimsuit will be washing down the taste of my knuckles with their own broken teeth and blood. Schmeckel Swimwear, an Old Town Torrance family tradition since before we let women vote.
Wow.
Matt really killed it today.
Yeah, he had great ass today. And here's our last ad, and it's from just a great acting company. And if you're interested in acting, the Chatsworth Actors Guild here in the Valley is really something you should look into. So here we go. You know, one thing we hear over and over is, Eddie, you make acting look so easy. I could probably do it better. Well, let me give you a few pieces of advice. One, you were wrong, and everyone hates you, but is afraid to tell you because your ego is so goddamn fragile. Two, growing up, your pets didn't die. They walked out because they were tired of your shit. Three, real actors, and I mean real honest-to-God actors, join the Chatsworth Actors Guild. If you are ready to get up off your nuts and start your acting career, the Chatsworth Actors Guild is the best way to get into the industry. And it's never been easier with the CAG's new transfer program. Get fast-tracked into Scientology, NXIVM, Heaven's Gate, and others. Just visit the CAG recruiting office inside the Mako bathroom on the corner of DeSoto and Nordhoff next to the Pet Incinerator Depot. If selected, you will soon find yourself in the magic of the spotlight, possibly holding an e-meter while a man in a plastic crown burns his initials into your genitals with a soldering iron, just like in a Lars von Trier movie. Chatsworth Actors Guild, because Hollywood doesn't take cowards. All right, everybody. Thanks to everyone who made it out to see me in Michigan, and thanks to Ryan in outer space for his 5-star review on iTunes, which went like this: my life almost marginally improved thanks to this podcast. There I was, lost in a haze, down on my luck, not a penny in my pocket, listening to pep talks. I'm still there, actually, but thanks, Eddie and Steve. Thank you, Ryan. And that's what this is all about, bringing you good folk marginal improvements over a painfully long scrape. While your life is in the gutter, don't forget to rate and review us. Send us love and whatever else you have left. We will take it all. Our podcast goodness is slathered across YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, and however else fine podcasts are discarded like seeds among rubble. We will take anything you give us. Speaking of giving, Sonny, my friend Yvette, has a bulldog that needs your help. Sonny is a sweet bulldog who needs some help, and is just shy of her 2,000 donation goal. Do something good for once. The donation link is on the website and in the description. And did you want to, by the way, if you want to call us and leave a message, you heard some great messages today. The number is 424-262-0904. You can email us, and Steve is going to read an email. You can email us at fanmail@peptalkspodcast.com and visit peptonepodcast.com. I hope it's Pepitone and not Peptone, but it says Peptone here.
A lot of typos.
Go ahead. What were you going to read? We have an email.
We do, from Liz. Liz, who's one of our regular listeners. Yeah. She says, hi, Steve. Hi, Eddie. Eddie, of course you were missed last week. But, Steve, that was a great show. I loved every minute of it. I am one of your atheist followers, and I love it when you guys get deep. It makes me so happy. I think I like when spirituality comes up with you two because you're both so genuine and interesting. You both give me things to reflect on. I really appreciate your show. I'm a web designer, and I'm really happy that you guys have a new website. Thanks for sharing your discoveries. I will definitely visit to find new articles and the like. One of the reasons I'm writing is because when I searched for your site this evening, I didn't find it right away. Not to brag, but I know about these things. If you want people to find it, when they search your names, you're going to have to want to give it to some SEOs, some SEO love. I don't mean to criticize anyone, but wanted to send you both a friendly note in case you didn't already know that. I also tried filling out the contact form, and there was no submit button. Matt Rasamoto, who created our website, thank you. No charge for that. Take care, Liz. Thank you, Liz. And we got a couple of emails. I'm not going to read all of them, but we got a couple emails telling us they will help us design stuff for this website and our online presence, and just wanted to thank you guys and thank Liz for your email. Liz?
So good. So good. And we have to get on that, right? That
man.
We have our website. You could donate to us now on our website that you can't find.
Please do that. Please. We need the money badly.
So our engineers today, is Emma Erdbrink, and Aaron Brungardt is also an engineer here at ATC. He's our other buddy, producer Matt Rasamoto. Leave a message, 424-262-0904. And we will see you next week, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.